Welcome everybody to the webinar. Today we have introduction to natural language processing with case study. This webinar is hosted by the DevMasters, and the DevMasters is an artificial intelligence and data science training company. Yeah. So your hosts for today for the webinar include me, Kate Tal, Zia Khan, my manager, and Kyle Howard. We're all data scientists with the DevMasters, and a little bit about me. My name is Kate, and yeah, I have a bachelor's in statistics, and I specialize in machine learning. I love data, and I love working with data, so it's only natural for me to become a data scientist.
My name's Kyle, and I have a background in sales and marketing analysis. And we use quite a bit of data in our sales analysis and our marketing analysis. And so it was a very natural transition to switch to data science. And I'm very happy to be here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zia. I work for the DevMasters, and I've been with them for a couple of years now. Before that, I worked for Bell Canada, which is a telecom company based out of Canada, for 10 plus years as a cloud specialist. So I've done cloud technologies, I've done data science. So these are really interesting to me, and I really enjoy working with the DevMasters here. Thank you, Kate, for hosting all of us here today.
Thank you for coming.
So are we going to talk about data science and natural language processing and how that fits in that area?
Yeah, we will. So for today's agenda on the webinar, we already kind of did 5 minutes of introduction. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about what is data science with applications of data science. Then we're going to open up for Q&A, and then we're going to start talking about the 15 minutes of the NLP case study, and then we'll start talking about what is considered to be our approach for learning and after this webinar. Then we'll open it up again for a Q&A. So as a note, though, we do have a special offer for those who attend the webinar, and if you want to sign up early for the program. So
you have a gift for people at the end. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But what is this gift for, though? I mean, so what is this program, if anything?
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So the company, as Kate mentioned, guys, we work for the DevMasters. We have a program that's called Mastering Applied Data Science that we have designed, geared towards working professionals or professionals who have another commitment Monday to Friday and do not want to leave the job or that commitment to take or enhance their skills. So this program is designed and it runs on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and it's a 3 months program. In the 3 months, you actually cover basics of or introduction to many new topics, as well as a lot of projects. And we'll get into details a little bit more later, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what we do. One thing special that we do is that you're seeing that there are two components, main components. One is the data science applied labs, and the second one is project-based learning. Before that, we have something that is called pre-work. And pre-work is geared towards people who are either new to coding or programming or are new to statistics. So if you are new to statistics or coding, we have something which is included in this course, pre-work. And the pre-work is geared or is designed towards individuals. So you get one-on-one mentoring, and you get one-on-one sessions so that you can get ready and be familiar with coding as well as statistics. Again, our goal is to help you code so that you can analyze data and build models and try to predict some results for those. So this is the training that we offer, and we'll get a little bit more into detail about this training later as we move along the webinar.
Yeah, we just want to highlight though that the little section called project-based learning, it is part of the program that we actually apply real life projects, and most of the projects you can actually find that include industries like this. Like these industries here that are that are listed, like real estate, e-commerce, telecommunications, finance, insurance, a little bit of cybersecurity data. So basically, any industry that is using data science or has data that can be utilized with data science, we have projects based on those. Yeah.
Good point, Kate. Thank you. Yeah, and I just want to also add that these projects are what we believe make us unique. We use a concept called applied labs in this. That's our own, you can say, recipe for learning, where we actually take people from different domains. So whenever you look at a problem, applied labs actually makes you think three different ways. So you should think business wise, you should think technology wise, and you should think statistical or mathematics wise. So the learning that we try to do in these projects is that whenever you are looking at a project, you should look at the project from all three angles, not just one. And that's why data science is kind of a multi-dimensional field. So you need to know not just one aspect of it, not just technology, not just maths, not just business, but all of them, and look at this. So these projects, when we run in the group that you run, there are people from diverse backgrounds. Somebody is from statistics background, the other person could be from a software engineering background, the third person could be from business, fourth person could be from a domain experience. And when all of these people sit down and look at a problem, everybody brings their own expertise in there, and you look at that problem from different angles. And that, what we believe is applied labs, and is a great way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that we believe is very helpful, and a lot of people who have taken our program at the end actually do say that that's the most learning that they got from this whole program. So it's an excellent tool, and we do a lot of projects that way.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
stuff, Kate. So
Yeah, so and you kind of already went into it what Applied Labs does, but that's all based on the whole concept of what is considered to be all the skills a data scientist needs. So me and Zia go off to a lot of conferences, and that's actually one of the big questions that people ask about. Well, how do I become a data scientist? What skills do I need to become a data scientist? So just to highlight that again, you need domain expertise. You need computer programming, you need a little bit of stats, and you need to be able to communicate your results, or what we call storytelling. So this is a highlight again. We start off usually, well, we actually train in computer programming, so we teach you Python, and we start talking about R, and then maybe a little bit of SQL, and we come across talking about Scala and Spark in the program, little bitty parts, a little bit about TensorFlow and like all those data points and stuff like that. That's included in the computer programming aspect of a data scientist. And then we start gearing you towards a little bit towards what is necessary in statistics, the mathematics behind it, what is necessary, what is considered to be the right way to analyze this data, what do these numbers say to you, and then how do you communicate it back to whoever's going to make those results. Is actually the communication skills that we're talking about, the storytelling skills. So what we mean by storytelling is actually there's a reason why your data came to you that way. So you need to understand how it came, how did it come in this format, why was it entered in this way, things like that. There's the whole reason why the data is like this. And you not necessarily understand every single row or every single aspect within the data, but you need to understand the whole aspect of data. So yeah, that's communication skills. And then the last thing to highlight again is domain expertise, where what we consider to be like an exceptional data scientist is a data scientist that knows what domain the project is in. So if we're given like a finance project, then most of us will actually be able to understand that because we understand finance very well. Or in the case of like to have a domain expertise is to basically have 2 to 3 years of experience in a certain industry, that as soon as we start talking about information or concepts or projects in that industry, without showing you the data, you already know what the data is going to look like. You already know what's expected of the data and what's expected of the problem, and if there's anything missing that's part of the to solve the problem, you will know how to fill it up. So that's what we consider domain expertise. So all four of those aspects together create what we consider a data scientist.
So, Kyle and Kate, so we are talking about data a lot. What kind of data, how much data do we have, and how is it growing? Is it growing or is it static? What's the status of data these days? Is there a lot of data? Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, data is growing rapidly, and most of that is due to what we call unstructured data. Currently, 80% of the growth is in unstructured data, and what that means, it means text data, kind of Siri voice data, photo recognition. So pretty much anything that you cannot really fit into a spreadsheet, anything that's a little bit more in the wild and naturally occurring. One reason this is important, and we're going to discuss this here in a little bit, is that this is allowing us to really try and gain insights from a lot of this data that previously we couldn't gain insights from before, and also previously this information didn't exist. Think about how many tweets go off every minute. Think about how many reviews are given for any given product. So this is the type of information that we are looking for in order to just gain insights, because there's a wealth of knowledge to be found. It's just a matter of now taking this unstructured data and utilizing it in a way that we can really start to understand what it's telling us and filter out some of the noise.
Very cool. So what I am seeing, Kyle, is that majority of the growth is in unstructured data. So 80% of it is coming from unstructured data.
Absolutely.
So does that mean that there is a more, if not more, there is a lot of requirement for people who can actually look at that data, maybe analyze it and make some sense out of it?
Absolutely. And if you think about it, how many companies want to know what their customers are really saying? How many people want to take, actual reviews and be able to understand them, be able to quantify those reviews and understand exactly what they mean? If you're looking for trends in what people are actually discussing, you want to understand the hot topics of the moment, because then whether you're building a product or you're trying to build a service that's aimed at getting the right information to the correct people, you need to be able to take this data that's so vast that we can't just analyze it as humans. We need the computer to be able to sort through it for us and then give us those insights to really accelerate, whether it's our publication company or whether it's our web commerce company, and anywhere in between. If you're a film studio, you need to understand this type of information, and the fact that if you're
Okay.
So Kate, what do we call this? Is there a special name for this in data science, or what is it called in data science?
Oh yeah, this is called the specialization in data science of natural language processing or natural language understanding, and that includes basically analyzing through text data, audio data, and stuff like that to actually translate over information, and then maybe decide what the sentiments of it are, information extraction, answering questions for humans, like your virtual assistants and stuff like that. So that's natural language processing.
So natural language processing seems like that it deals with taking that unstructured data and trying to analyze that unstructured data. So it takes the unstructured data, maybe converts it into structured format so that the computer can understand it, and computer can help us where the speed is fast. So what I mean by that is, like for example, let's take an example of Twitter. Generally speaking, Twitter has about 400 to 500,000 tweets in a minute. When you have that many tweets coming in or that much data coming in, it's almost like it's really difficult to actually hire enough people to actually analyze every tweet. And then once they have analyzed the tweet, maybe highlight the ones that are good or bad. And if you're interested in the bads only, you highlight the bad ones so that somebody can look at those bad ones. So that is where the power of NLP comes in, where it can take those tweets. The computer can actually, computers are really fast that way. So the computers can actually take those tweets, do some basic analysis, pinpoint or highlight the ones that are either positive, you're looking for positive, or negative, that you're looking for negative, or classify them as positive, negative, and you can then dig more deeper into or do more work or more analysis of the ones that are more interesting to you. So, for example, if you are a hotel or if you are a restaurant, you are interested in finding out what people are talking about us in the Yelp, what kind of a review, and especially if it's a bad review, so that you can go to that person and try to solve that problem, so that that review can be, it can be taken out and people only talk good things about your product there. So these kind of systems are designed on this concept of natural language processing, where they take unstructured data, try to make some try to analyze them and try to classify them or make some sense out of them. So in terms of use cases or what kind of like how NLP can help, any thoughts on that?
Well, so NLP can help in a number of ways, just mostly with the fact that, like as you were alluding to, there is so much, the volume or the volume of the data is so incredible that I couldn't personally go through and label whether something is positive or negative with all of the tweets. And even so, it would be relatively subjective. So having the ability to cut through all of this, and so as far as individual businesses, like obviously, web commerce, understanding their customers, I think is one of the most important. Being able to query different databases for different types of articles or different types of books, you start to understand which types of literature your customers like. If you're like an Amazon, when Amazon was really just selling books, so in any sort of case like that, and just the fact that there are insights to be gained, and so any instance where an insight's to be gained, it could be understanding trends. You could hypothetically, if there's, like we kind of touched on earlier, if there's a topic that people are starting to discuss more and more frequently, or if they're asking Alexa for a specific thing, now we can cut through that without having to do it by hand, and it makes it incredibly powerful.
Very cool. Guys, what do you think? What kind of like is there a job market for people? If I'm interested in natural language processing and I'm interested in data science, is there a job market for that? Is there a requirement for people or companies that are looking for people with these kind of skills? And what kind of industries?
I would say it's probably one of the fastest growing aspects of the field. It was just mostly due to the data, but also because there are so many companies collecting this data and wanting to gain the insights. It can be, it can be a social media app or a networking app. It could be telemarketing. It could be movie studios. It could be a record label who needs to understand the reviews of their records. It could also, obviously, people working in the press looking to create research. And so there are quite a few, pretty much any industry has a use case for this. Also medical is huge because there's so many forms of data that they haven't been able to link together. There are so many different patients charts. And that's one of the largest inconsistent or difficulties in the medical field, is being able to bring all of the information from each patient together. That's something that natural language process can very much so help and really help society with.
Very interesting. So that means that it is an interesting field and there is a lot of demand. So sounds like good to me. So what kind of, are we going to talk about any case study today, and what does that entail, and what are we going to do in that?
So today's case study is basically to show how NLP works, what it kind of does, and to show you that we can actually extract a word that doesn't belong with. So we're going to add 4 words together, and we're going to basically display that natural language processing can distinguish which of the 4 is not similar. We're also going to do a similarity study to show 2 different words and see how the natural language processing determines how it's similar. In that instance, what we're doing is and I'll kind of skip ahead and show you how we're going to get there. But what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use the cosine of the angle of these vectors that we're going to create to determine how similar the actual words are. And so the way we begin doing that is we will import spaCy. spaCy is what we're going to use to basically take the words and separate them into like individual chunks. So in Python, we need to import our libraries. That's one of the most beneficial things about Python. If you're unfamiliar, it has tons of educational libraries. That's why universities use it so frequently. That's why it's so robust for data science. Then we're going to import pandas, which is basically where we structure our data as PD. That's just a moniker. It's just a nickname. And then from Gensim models, we're going to import word to vec. This is where we're going to actually turn those tokens into vectors. And that's how the computer itself is going to be able to recognize the words and to be able actually to compute them. So it can't compute them in its original state because it doesn't have enough information. So down here, we're going to do what's called tokenizing, where we're basically individualizing the words into separate chunks. So we're labeling NLP, natural language processing, and we're loading in just English. And then we're tokenizing it here. We created an article as previously. You can find corpuses online. You can build your own. We built our own previously. And so here's just tokenizing, separating them into separate chunks.
So what you really do is that, for example, if there is a message or a sentence or something like that, you just break it out into different pieces, and,
Yes.
and maybe a word is a piece, and then you take that word and then you create vectors out of those words. And this is where your library of Spacie is going to help you do, and also word to vec, where it converts the words into vectors.
Precisely, exactly. And so you can obviously, and the nice thing is you can manipulate it further, but for simplicity's sake of visualizing it, let's just look at it as words for right now. Like in a sentence, I ran fast, which I don't ever do, but I ran fast would now become I ran fast, and they'd all be separate words that will then, in the will then actually convert into vectors through word to vec. We're not going to load the entire model of word to vec just because it gets a little verbose, but what that's basically doing is taking each of those words and then converting them to vectors and then creating angles so we can see how close those angles are together. And that's how we can kind of start to analyze what's, what is similar and what's not.
All right, so are you going to pick up a couple of words and try and see if how similar they are?
Absolutely. So we had some science articles that we loaded in. So up top, you're going to see word similarity, and we're comparing computer and tool. I wanted to pick something that was relatively similar, but could have some nuanced difference. So as you can see, it's 86% similarity, which I think is a pretty good similarity rate, especially considering how many different, and when you think about the English language, tool can, it could mean hammer, it could mean something useful. There are so many different ways you could use the term tool, and that's one thing that I'm really impressed with that natural language process is able to do, is to understand all those different use cases and understand how many different ways you could use those words. So the fact that they identify computer as also a tool that people can use to gain benefit, that's pretty cool. And
so this kind of similarity, so I understand, Kyle, that it's coming from that, what you're mentioning, cosine similarity, where it actually kind of finds the angle between them and not really the magnitude.
Yes.
So you're using cosine similarity, but all of this is based on, at the back end, on that corpus that you had built
Yes.
of articles, where it actually took those articles and actually broke it down into vectors and learned based on that. Okay, so it's learning all of that based on this, and then trying and giving you a result, the result that, okay, these two words, computer and tool, are similar, and the similarity between them is 86% or 0.86.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. So now, can you in the same way differentiate? Like if I give it a list of words, like 4 or 5 words, 3 words, and can it pick out one word that doesn't belong to that list, or is it something different? Can you do that as well?
Absolutely. And down on the bottom of the slide, I wanted to pick things that were all nouns, but could, I wanted to pick things that a rock is just a dense natural object. So we picked 4 items: a rock, a human, computer, and a dog, and we wanted to see which one was least similar to the other 4. So within this model, the continuous bag of words model that when we created the vectors, it basically allows you to pick out the one that's the least similar. So we can kind of see, not only does it pick similarity between 2 items, but then it can look at 4 and cluster the 3 together that are most similar and exclude the other. So that's kind of showing it actively, not just doing a one-on-one comparison, but it's comparing multiple things simultaneously. This is something, before you actually start really digging into it, you want to make sure that your vectors are telling you something. It's not picking out, let's say it picked out human from there. Well, we'd kind of want to know why. So maybe rerun it, try and see, maybe tweak some knobs on it a little bit and change it up a little bit. But so this seems to perform pretty well.
Yeah, because out of those 4 words that you have there, rock, human, computer, and dog, yeah, if human has to pick, I think rock would probably be the one that will be the one word that's not doesn't belong in there because everything else pretty much has some intelligence.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So, okay, so what it did was that it took all those words, converted that into vectors, and I guess figured out the 3 that were closer to each other and the one that didn't belong into that.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So, so Kyle, what kind of like, can you give me a couple of ideas of what kind of industries would use something like this to actually help them in any industries that come to your mind?
Yeah, like if you're running a blog site, or if you're running any sort of news, if you're bringing in news sources, especially from the outside world, if you're not necessarily the one who is categorizing your news articles, and you're bringing them in, and you want to target certain people on your site, then you can run the texts themselves through it, and it can take those texts and it can classify them into different groups, thus making your users their experience a little bit easier for searching for them. But also you can then target those users based on their preferences on articles they read more frequently. You can hypothetically make sure that those go right up to their feed the most quickly. If there's a description of a product that is a written description of a product, you can then understand which descriptions of products are the most similar as well, and which are a little bit off the beaten path. So you can then make sure that description of, that even if you're at a restaurant, if there's a food description, and I've heard of someone working on an app that recommends different dishes for you based on the description of the dish. So you could hypothetically, so anything along those lines where you're trying to differentiate between something in one way or another, or let's say you find, even if you want to go scientifically, if you find an ancient text, if you compare it to other ancient texts, hypothetically, you might be able to get the era. And so these are the type of things that you could really work with, and that just could prove beneficial for many different reasons.
That's awesome. So if I'm new and I want to actually maybe get in data science, and natural language processing seems like the thing that I really want. I'm into linguistics, and I want to actually work with that. What do you guys suggest? Is there how do I approach that, and what are the like, are there good opportunities? Is that something that you will recommend?
Yeah, so you have a lot of learning options. You can get your degree in this. You can start approaching it from a self-learner's point of view, but in our opinion, the best way to learn all of this is through our program, Mastering Applied Data Science. We actually personally include a natural language processing class in our applied labs section of our program, and it's a full day of more stuff like tokenizing and like word to vec and things like that. And it's more sentiment analysis with projects in between, so you can actually have hands-on experience with it. And that also includes any of the other specializations that go really well in natural language processing, like big data. You're obviously going to have, if you're streaming in tweets all the time, you're going to have to know how to deal with streaming data and big data. We have a data based on that. The other specialization that works really well in natural language processing is deep learning, which is basically like, that's like a black box of machine learning, but it works
Sounds
really
like
well.
neural networks to me already. So you're so we cover neural networks and deep learning and natural language processing, big data, all those technologies in our program.
Right, yeah. And then we also cover the topics again in project-based learning, where we have a couple of projects specifically on natural language processing and any other of the specializations that I said already. So yeah.
Very good. So so the goal again, guys, for this training that we offer and how we differentiate is, I'm going to highlight a couple of things that we believe that our training offers, which are kind of unique to us. The one thing, first of all, is it's all applied, so it's hands-on learning, and it's heavily focused on projects. So when you talk to people and you ask them that, okay, what is natural language processing, or what is a recommender system? I want to say almost everybody understands what a recommender system is. But if you ask people, have you ever built one? That is where the difference is. And our focus is on that build side, on that applied side, on that application side, that you understand natural language processing, or you understand recommender systems, but we will get you to build them. We'll get you to build a recommender system. We'll get you to build a natural language processing algorithm that will actually take some kind of social media tweet or some kind of social media data and do some analysis on it. So that is one thing that we believe is unique to our program, because we kind of go in that direction. The other thing is that it's more like a lifetime membership. So if you take this program once, if for some reason you missed a class or you were not able to attend a session or a couple of sessions, you can come back and retake those sessions at no additional charge. So it's like if you sign up for it, you can retake it again, and there is no additional cost for it. It is run on the weekend, so it actually gives you the option that if you work somewhere else, you can enhance or learn this skill. Not You don't have to leave a job or your job for to learn this new skill. You can still do it. And the fourth option, or the fourth differentiator that we believe we have, is that we use this concept of applied learning, which is multidimensional. So you look at a problem from all side of business, from the side of technology, and from also the mathematics or statistical side. So that's a few of these things that we believe we are different, and how we do it. If you're interested to find out a little bit more about our program, we have testimonials on our page. So you can go to our website, which is www.thedevmasters.com, and you can hear there's some video testimonials. You can hear what people are talking about us. There's some testimonials that you can read through, and see what people, or what some of our existing students are doing and what they have to say about our program. These are some of the sessions that we hold at different couple of conferences where we have presented, and these are some of the pictures from there. So Kate, if I am interested in what's the next step? What do we do? Where do we go from here? So I've listened to this. I've listened to this webinar of yours. First of all, do you have any financing options? And also, if you have any financing options, where do I go from there?
Yeah, we obviously have financing options. Yeah, because what we offer and education should not be what's the word? It should always be accessible in terms of finances. So we have options such as flexible breakdowns. We can actually break down your payments up to three if you're happy with three. We actually have scholarships for select number of groups that can actually provide documentation for it, and then we have options for corporate where you bring in groups and you do a one-time pay discount, things like that. So if you want to find out more, feel free to email us further about the financing options and such like that. Yeah.
All right. So what's the next step, Kate? What do people do if they are interested?
Yeah, aside from emailing us, essentially I highly recommend that you attend an in-person session with one of us, so that you can actually see how our entire course goes, and actually have like a hands-on portion, like the workshops that can actually walk you through a whole data science project, so you can see like if this is for you, is this enough coding, enough if you're ready for it, things like that. So feel free to email us and ask us when is the next session. Most of those sessions are actually in the LA and OC area. Yeah. Okay. If you're actually interested in the full program right now and you want to see further without attending an in-person session, you can actually book a meeting with one of us. We'll be able to talk to you and basically give you, advise you on what you should actually be your first step, personalized kind of situation. So like, we'll ask you things like, what is your background? Where do we see, where do you see you applying data science in that industry based on your background, or all that? That's a specialized approach in a meeting with one of us. There's also an option to discuss a POC with us, and that actually goes towards our consulting parent company, Einstein Assembly. And again, please email us about that. We'll be able to help you with that.
Great. I have a question, Kate. So you mentioned in the start that there is some special offer for people if they. So how can they reach us, and how do they get some information about that special offer?
Yeah, so basically, again, the best thing to do is to actually ask us through the email. Email us at admin@thedevmasters.com right there on your screen, or you can directly call us 1-800-713 is 9711, just like that, and you should be able to speak to a representative and actually be able to have your questions answered right away also. Yeah.